Hi guys, and welcome back to my Evilness podcast. Today we are going to be talking about the true crime case of Katie Locke. I forgot to say thank you for joining me today. Anyway, let's get into this case. Katie Locke was born on November 19th, 1989. She was a University of Southampton graduate. She was from Buckhurst Hill. Sorry, I take notes and sometimes misread it. In Essex, she was a teacher at Cardinal Pole Catholic School. Katie Locke was 23 years old when she was found strangled at Theobald's Park Hotel in Hertfordshire, on Christmas Eve in 2015. Carl Langdell, who was 26 at the time, had pleaded guilty to murder at a hearing in March of 2016. Katie's body was found dumped in a bush near a skip bin on the hotel grounds, St Albion's Crown Court was told. She died early in the morning of December 24th, 2015. At a 2-day sentencing hearing, Anne Evans, prosecuting, said after Langdell had killed Miss Locke, he decided to have sexual intercourse with her dead body, after which he took photographs of her body on his iPhone. He accepts he looked at the photographs at some stage and then deleted them, she added. During an interview at Stevenage Police Station, he told officers that he was narcissistic and he lacked empathy. Carl Langdell and Katie Locke met on the online dating site Plenty of Fish and were on their first date on the night that she was killed. The sad part of this case is that Katie, like probably millions of other people, agreed to a date with Carl, believing what he told her about himself. He claimed he had his own law firm, but in reality he had spent the past 2 years suffering from increasing mental illness, which had been marked by periods in psychiatric hospitals. In a statement released at the time of Katie's death, her family said there was not a bad bone in Katie's body and that she worked hard and loved her job as a teacher. Langdell had previously told a psychiatric nurse about his violent fantasies, the court had heard. But that confession would not be passed on to the psychiatrics that were currently treating him. In March 2015, Langdell had been detained under the Mental Health Act and given a suspended sentence for making threats to kill. This suspended sentence was due to conflicting psychiatric reports. The suspended sentence was for threatening to kill a community psychiatric nurse. He was sentenced to 9 months, which was suspended for 24 months, however that works. However, Katie was unaware of his history when she had agreed to meet him. It was to a staff member at Avon and Wiltshire Mental Health Partnership Trust that Langdell had disclosed his violent fantasies. However, he was now under the care of Hertfordshire Partnership Foundation Trust, and a proper assessment was not sent to them, basically. An independent review commissioned by the NHS England found that there had been systematic missed opportunities, which included a lack of information regarding Carl's previous care. However, it concluded there was no way for staff from any agency to determine whether Langdell was one of the 97% of people who only make threats, or one of the 3% who actually carry these threats out. We conclude, therefore, that the tragic death of Miss Locke could not have been prevented with the degree of certainty that would have made it possible to prevent, the report said. Dr. David Levy, NHS England's Regional Medical Director, said this is a very complex case. He had an unusual condition, complex enough that 3 consultant psychiatrists came to very different conclusions about him. But certainly there were shortcomings and opportunities that weren't taken to understand the complexity of this patient's problems. Hertfordshire Partnership Foundation Trust said there are a number of areas where the Trust can and will learn from this terrible incident and minimise the possibility of this ever happening again. On Friday the 3rd of June 2016, a judge handed Langdell a life sentence and told him that having sex with Locke's body increased the depravity of the murder. The judge told him, "I am firmly of the view that you pose a very great danger to women and young girls with whom you come into contact in the future. I note that you have described yourself to others as a monster and a psychopath because of what you did to Katie Locke." Langdell had previously tortured the victim's family by refusing to confirm her final moments or explain the motive for the horrific attack. The court heard Langdell had confessed to raping her dead body by using a bar of soap to lubricate it and taking pictures on his phone before using a laundry cart to dump the corpse on the grounds of the hotel. He then confessed to the killing over the phone to his mother, describing himself as a monster and apologising for ruining her Christmas. The court heard he was a mentally unwell fantasist who contacted Locke, who taught history and politics at a school in Hackney, East London, through the dating website Plenty of Fish 2 weeks earlier. Langdell appeared for sentencing at court via a video link from prison, wearing a grey jumper. The judge told Langdell, who showed no emotion as he was led away, "You confessed to the psychiatric nurse responsible for your care that you were attracted to the younger sister of your girlfriend and wanted to cut her throat, take her clothes off, to see her naked and have sex with her dead body." He also told the nurse that he planned to call her during and after the violent attack so that he could prove to her that he was serious about his threats. Taking account of the aggravating and mitigating circumstances in your case, I set the minimum term I must pass upon you at 26 years. It is important to you and everyone concerned with this case that you understand what this in fact means. The minimum term is not a fixed term after which you will be automatically released, but the minimum term is the minimum time that you will spend in custody before your case can be considered by a parole board. Once you have served the minimum term I have set, it will be for others to decide when, if ever, it will be safe for you to be released. The judge added that only the defendant knew what exactly happened in the hotel room the night where Katie was murdered. The judge's name, by the way, was Andrew Bright. Prosecutor Anne Evans said the tragedy of this case at the end of their first date, in the early hours of December 24th, 2015, she agreed to go back to a hotel with him. He strangled her in that hotel room and then dumped her body near a skip bin outside the hotel. Locke's heartbroken parents, Bill and Jennifer, confronted Langdell, who had sat in the dock sobbing. Miss Locke broke down when she read a victim impact statement. She said nothing could prepare her for meeting a monster. I shall miss her every minute of every day. The court was told Langdell charmed the beautiful and vibrant teacher with 2 weeks of messages. They agreed to meet on December 23rd and spent the night drinking heavily before checking into an exclusive 4-star hotel in Hertfordshire at around 3:30 a.m. Evans went on, Katie told another friend that Carl told her he was a lawyer who owned his own law firm. Carl Langdell is not a lawyer, nor does he have his own firm. This was a lie. The truth was that over the past 2 years, he was increasingly suffering from mental illnesses, which had been marked by periods in psychiatric hospitals. Locke texted friends to say that the dates seemed to be going well, but she was last heard from when she called down to the reception for 2 toothbrushes 30 minutes after checking in. At midday the next day, Langdell ran into Diana Schertz, a woman who had also taken to a hotel after meeting her on the online dating site Tinder. Evans said he told her he had killed someone. He did not give any explanation as to why he had done it. He told her that they couldn't be together anymore because he would be in prison for a long time. Meanwhile, Locke's panicked friends and family had tracked down an address for Langdell. Langdell's mother told Katie's father that she had spoken on the phone to her son, who had said he had killed a girl and described himself as a monster. Langdell was arrested and revealed the location of the teacher's body, which was found wrapped in a doona under a freestanding metal ashtray, about 10 metres from a skip bin. Langdell told police she didn't even fight. I expected her to hit out or something. Cocaine, diazepam, and other drugs used in the treatment of depression and anxiety were all found in Langdell's system. That was meant to be diazepam, sorry. On his LinkedIn page, Langdell claimed that he was a social secretary for Cardiff University's athletics union and captain of the golf team, the judge heard. He also said that he had begun a postgraduate law course at the BPP University Law School, but the school had no record of his attendance. According to Langdell's version of events, he and Katie had drinks at a bar called Traffic in Old Street, East London. They left around 1:30 a.m. and hailed a cab to Theobald's Park Hotel. During the drive to the hotel, Langdell was vomiting profusely. Upon entering the hotel, a receptionist noticed that Langdell appeared very intoxicated, so much that Katie had to hold him up. Half an hour after checking in, Katie called downstairs asking for 2 toothbrushes. At around 6:30 a.m, a hotel guest in the room next to Langdell complained that the fire escape was jammed open with a hotel coat hanger. He had apparently got up for a cigarette. Langdell called down to the front desk at 9 a.m, asking for a late checkout at 2 p.m. He checked out, paying the bill with his debit card. The coat hanger that was discovered jamming open the fire escape was found to have came from the room that Katie and Langdell had shared. Before leaving the room, Carl had made sure to leave the Do Not Disturb sign on the doorknob. When staff later entered the room, they found that all the bedding and towels were missing. They also noticed that the window lock was broken, and they found a phone that had been left in the room, which was ringing. This was Katie's father, Bill, trying to reach her. Okay, so it looks like this one's going to be another 2-part because I only have 30 seconds left and a lot more to go. Thank you so much for listening. I'll get them. Hi guys, and welcome back to my Evilness podcast. Thank you for joining me today, and let's get into part 2 of the Katie Locke true crime case. The search for Katie began when she didn't make it home. Her father Bill started the search. He ended up at Carl Langdell's family home. There he spoke to Carl's mother. She called her son, who confessed to killing Katie, saying, "I am a monster. I wrapped her in a quilt, I put her in a trolley and took her to the grounds." Carl told his mother everything. He said he had strangled her, but it had gone too far. His mother listened as he rambled about not wanting to ruin his family's Christmas. He said he was going to tell them afterwards. Katie's father called the police and they started the search for the confessed killer. Police found Langdell near a canal in Lea Valley Park. He quickly told the officers where they could locate Katie's body. He also told them about the pictures he had taken of her corpse and how he had had sex with her. When initially confessing, Langdell said that he was consensually strangling her, but in the moment had decided to kill her. Katie's body would be located on the property of Theobald's Park Hotel in Hertfordshire, England. She had been dumped near a skip bin on the property's 55 acres. She had been strangled and raped post-mortem. What the autopsy didn't show, however, was after he had killed her, Langdell then photographed her corpse, saving the photos to relive his crime later. Katie's family spoke outside of the courthouse. For us as a family to realise that any fantasist or predator can lie and publicly portray themselves as anything their warped personalities would like is shocking. They added, "Katie is never coming home, and all we can do is warn other young women to be careful in the hope that no other family ever has to go through the pain and trauma that we have had to go through." In his police mugshot, Langdell appears staring coldly into the camera, bandaged and splattered with blood moments after being arrested. However, it is not clear why he has blood on his face, nor how he sustained an injury that required a bandage. During a date, Katie had texted one of her friends, Rosie Foster, and said that it was going well. Katie's mum didn't know about the date because Katie had given her the impression she had gone out with Rosie. On the 27th of May, Carl finally revealed his PIN number to the police and now accepts that he took photos of Katie's dead body, which he subsequently deleted. And the lies about the legal firm, he actually had founded his own legal firm back in August of 2015 called Langdell Legal Services. It actually had a registered office address in Hertfordshire, England. It is now, the status is it's dissolved. It was dissolved on the 11th of October 2016, so he had it for just over a year. Carl was a Cardiff University business management graduate. He had a master's in journalism and media communications. He had spent almost a year in Moscow on work placement, working with the Video.Guru, which runs the hotel in which Miss Locke was tragically found. Or the hotel group, I should say. After sentencing Carl to the 26-year prison term, or minimum 26 years, the judge made a statement and said, "In this regard, I note that in his report dated April 20th, 2016, Dr. Philip Joseph, who is arguably the county's most experienced consultant forensic psychiatrist in cases of this kind, expresses the opinion that you suffer from an emotionally unstable and dissocial psychopathic personality disorder, with the result that the risk you pose to women is likely to remain significant for the foreseeable future. He is pessimistic about whether psychiatric treatment will bring any long-term change, and I want to make it clear that so am I." He added, "Katie was a thoroughly decent and innocent young woman who had done you no harm at all. You lied to her about being a lawyer with your own firm when the reality was you had recently been made the subject of a suspended sentence of imprisonment of Bristol Crown Court for making death threats to a woman, which you communicated to a community nurse involved in caring for your mental health. Speaking at the court on Thursday, Katie's father, Bill, said to Langdell, "On the internet you say you are an ordinary, decent human being. You are very ordinary, but you are not a decent person." Langdell claimed to police that Katie had told him she enjoyed kinky sex and being choked and died in a sex game gone wrong. But prosecutor Anne Evans told the court that there was no evidence to support Carl's claim. She said Katie was wearing a black dress and Langdell asked her if she liked BDSM. He claims she said that she did and that she enjoyed being choked. At this point he began to strangle her and ultimately decided to kill her. Miss Evans said that Langdell was lying and all of the forensic and circumstantial evidence is that Katie had a very conservative taste in sex. The last person to see Katie alive was Mr. French, the receptionist, who saw her when he delivered the 2 toothbrushes and toothpaste to their room. He said she seemed fine and fully clothed at this point. Katie had also sent Langdell's picture and full name to a friend before she died, who had Googled his name and found the website called Carl Langdell's Legal Associates. Katie's father then drove around to where this was apparently based to find out what had happened to his daughter. Meanwhile, Katie's friends were frantically calling her mobile to find out where she was. Eventually, somebody had answered and with a long, drawn-out breath, whispered Katie's name, then ended the call, and all the calls to Katie's phone after this went straight to voicemail. At 11:56 a.m, one of Katie's friends sent Langdell a message on Facebook asking where she was. He replied with 2 question marks and said he wasn't with her. Miss Evans said he had no idea where she was. She had gotten into a taxi ages ago. He said she had tried to call her, but her phone was off and her battery had died. This was mere hours after leaving her body in a ditch. A post-mortem of Katie's body had revealed bruises on her face, legs, trunk, vagina, and anus. Anal and vaginal penetration had occurred after death. Langdell had used a soap bar to aid penetration. Peter Benjamin, defending, said he admits that he had the mind and body of a psychopath. He had sexual intercourse with her body using a bar of soap to aid vaginal and anal penetration. It seems that the soap bar is what caused the lacerations. He accepts that he bit her nipple and he took photos of her corpse. At one point, Langdell was moved to an all-male ward and banned from seeing women. This was when he was in the mental health hospital, obviously. This was because he had been deemed a sexual predator and had inappropriate relations with some of the other women on the ward. Female medical staff refused to go and see him alone, either on the ward or after he had been released home. He again told staff he was going to kill someone in September of 2015 after they refused to let him discharge himself. And there's a report that states on September 17th, 2015, Mr. O was reported as saying that when I leave or am discharged, I will kill someone when I leave. You must document that. Despite Hertfordshire being informed of the threat, they arrived to interview him at the ward 5 days later. By the time Langdell had been discharged, the report says that they then failed to interview him at his home address. Speaking at a press conference, Assistant Chief Constable Nathan Bryant said that he didn't know whether the constabulary would have stopped Miss Locke's death if they had carried out this interview with him. He said, "We will never know what the effect of taking action would have had. That detail will do nothing but add to the despair and sorrow of the family." The report also found that the probation officer assigned to Langdell after his suspended sentence had been told by Langdell that he was using a dating website. However, the officer was unaware of the serious concerns that health staff had about his conduct around women. Instead, he planned to use the opportunity to discuss with Langdell his attitude towards women. An independent review of Langdell's care was produced alongside a multi-agency partnership review into the death of Miss Locke, commissioned by the Hertfordshire Adult Safeguarding Board. The partnership review set out a series of recommendations, including that NHS England should remind mental health trusts of the importance of information sharing, especially when it comes to high-risk patients between their services. It also called for probation and mental health services to develop protocols for implementing court mental health treatment requirements and for police to ensure other forces are informed when individuals with mental health problems are bailed or released under investigation to other areas. In June of 2015, Carl Langdell wrote a poem called Exhaustion. He started a poetry blog. So this poem had a few lines that was like, "My psyche's a mess, my thoughts are scrambled, I long for far less, my mental health unhandled, my memory shot to pieces, I forget how to win, lacking a thesis, I'm a victim of sin." The court heard ahead of his sentencing in a letter Langdell had written, "No apology I give and no sentence I receive, not even my death could make up for what I have mindlessly taken." And I guess he was right about that. While he was on remand in May of 2016, Langdell attacked a prison officer, Dean Adamson, when the officer would not open a cell door. At Luton Crown Court, he was sentenced to a further 3 years for this assault. In the witness box, Mr. Adamson said he was working upstairs in the office of F Wing on the 4th of May when the attack happened. Adamson said Langdell used to go to a cell with 2 other prisoners for a cigarette and tea break, but it was locked. He shouted, "Get this door open downstairs," and I said, "There are 5 other cells open, you can have a cigarette in one of them." Langdell then swore at the officer and another prison officer. Mr. Adamson said, "At the bottom of the stairs, he walked aggressively to me, punched me right in the eye. He got me in a headlock and tried to choke me. I was thinking that he was going to kill me." Other prison officers arrived and restrained Langdell. The court heard that Adamson had spent 4 months off work with tendon and ligament damage. Under cross-examination by David Smith, Adamson denied that he had over-egged the pudding in his account. Langdell, who did not give evidence or testify, denied causing actual bodily harm, but was found guilty by the jury, who, by the way, were only told that he was a serving prisoner, not that he was a convicted murderer. But that is it for today's true crime case. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll get another one done really soon. Thank you. Bye.